Warning, the following video is rated M for if you're young, you shouldn't watch this, so viewer discretion is advised. But hey, I won't tell if you won't.
Okay, I may be opening up a can of worms that I really don't want to deal with, but I never liked the original Resident Evil 2. Now this was the second Resident Evil game that I've played, and I'm always up for different gameplay styles. And I only say that because I've played Resident Evil 4 first and loved that game. Though Resident Evil 2 didn't get any type of scares out of me. I said in my re-review of Resident Evil 4 that even with the changes for more of an action-packed style game, it still had plenty of scares in it. After Resident Evil 2, I downloaded a ROM of Resident Evil 1, and even with the horrible voice acting, I thought that game had some good scares in it, even if some of those scares were cheap jump scares from hunters. I don't know why, Resident Evil 2 just wasn't doing anything for me. A lot of people praise it for being one of the best Resident Evil games, but I just couldn't see it. Though, that was only with one playthrough because the game does have two scenarios, and I only played through the Leon A scenario and dropped it because I just didn't like it. Now, Resident Evil 7 is a game that I love. I've been playing through it on my Twitch channel, but I haven't played it in a while thanks to work. So far, it's been my favorite game in the series, and that's thanks to the RE engine. This engine can make some great looking games. I haven't seen much of it, but Devil May Cry 5 looks amazing. And although it may get dated one day or another, Resident Evil 7 looks fantastic. It's a great body horror game with a fantastic atmosphere and some creepy character moments. Now with the plans of Resident Evil 2 being up for the chopping block, this engine would do wonders for it. When the trailers were being shown, the game looked fantastic and a little gross. Hey, there's a reason why I had that warning at the beginning of the video, even though the audio clip was stolen from a piece of bread. Now, I'm not sure what I'm fully in store with this remake, but one thing I do want to say is that I'm glad we don't need ink ribbons to save. I only say this because I never thought that a save system like this added any type of dread to a game. It actually pisses me off more than anything else because I have shit to do and other games to play. I don't want to worry about not being able to save. Though that is still an option on higher difficulties, it's just not for me. Though with all of the fluff out of the way, this is my review of
Resident Evil 2.
Just like in the original, you're running around in a police station just trying to survive. Just like with Remake 1, everything's pretty much the same, but with new twists and new puzzles. A good chunk of these puzzles involve you examining an item in your inventory, which is a returning mechanic from Remake 1, but dumbed down a little. These puzzles are good but need some more interactivity. Though in general, some of these puzzles are slightly weird. I'm mainly talking about that locker puzzle because if the keys can come out, why can't I just remove one key and use it to type in another key, or, you know, just still press the key, because nothing about this puzzle leads me to believe that that's impossible. There are only two puzzles that I got majorly stumped at, and they're the garage keycard puzzle and the chemical puzzle. The chemical puzzle in the lab, I don't even know how I solved it. This was kind of confusing, so I just decided to guess and check. I just didn't really like this puzzle, and it actually tended to tick me off, and I don't know why. The puzzles to get the garage keycard is hard for me to put into words why I didn't like them. I think it's just getting both of the electrical surges to meet at one point. I don't know, it seemed a little pointless. But hey, at least Claire doesn't have Mr. X chase you as soon as you solve the puzzle. Now some enemies aren't that bad to deal with, though I wasn't expecting them to easily get back up. Yeah, enemies don't go down that easily, no matter what difficulty you're playing on. You can get dogpiled pretty easily, but just put a bullet in a leg of a zombie and you should be fine. Though if you get grabbed, you can use a defensive item like a knife to break out of a grab. It's a nice feature, though with the knives I'm a little bugged that they have a degradation meter. It's a limited resource and you can find more, but thanks to Breath of the Wild, I'm not a fan of them, even if it fits with the game. Though I do love using the grenades as a defensive weapon to score an insta-kill on a zombie. Though I believe you have to shoot the grenade for it to count as an instant kill, I'm not really sure, but I always shoot it just to make sure. Now I heard some people have problems with the zombie dogs, but I didn't really have an issue with them. Claire only encounters them when she's heading towards the orphanage where Cherry is trapped at. The automatic she has can make pretty easy work of them and take them out pretty easily. Leon encounters him in the police station, but just like Claire's automatic, his shotgun makes easy work of them. Hell, I killed these ones before triggering their escape flag so I didn't have to deal with them. I'm a paranoid person, so I try to make sure I can have somewhat of an easy time while playing. Lickers are the only regular enemies that will give you any sort of trouble. Seriously, these fucks want you dead every single time they find you. Though not making any noise can actually help, but this doesn't mean these guys were easy to deal with. They're fast, they're deadly, and they will make your life a living hell. The G-adult enemies, they weren't troublesome, but I think I would have preferred the spiders. They're not hard to take down, but I just got annoyed with them. They're hard to dodge around and they absorb bullets like a mother. The plant enemies are only in the lab, but I never had a problem with them because I always get Leon's flamethrower and stock up on flame rounds with Claire. The only problem with them is the fact that if they get close to you, it's an instant kill. Now this is a repeat of the clickers from The Last of Us, but just like that game, you can at least use a defensive item to break out of the hold. Now the only big problem you'll have is with Mr. X. No, not that X. Though I actually do want a mod that swaps out Mr. X with Noel. Now this fuckhead will make you dread your purchase of this game. In the original, Mr. X shows up in the B scenario of the game. After you trigger him, he'll chase you through the rest of the game, popping up in different areas when you trigger his flag. Here, he shows up in all scenarios and he doesn't stop chasing you, even the area that he's in isn't loaded. There are some areas that you're completely safe from him, but not safe from his fucking footsteps, because damn, that is the scariest part about this game. This dude is terrifying for me just because of the fact that he chases you down. Thank God for that third-person view because this will help out when trying to avoid him. Though the only thing that helps out in this game is that the hallways are big. That's one complaint I have with Resident Evil 7, because trying to get around Jack seems almost impossible at times in the first area of the game. Being able to actually avoid Mr. X is great, though running from him is not. I try to put down as many zombies as I can because of this fuckhead. Because if he finds you, you have to book it through some rooms to get him off your trail. Though you're unable to kill him with the weapons you have on hand, you can send him for a good 30 seconds. Hell, whenever I trigger him, I stay in the photo development save room. Hearing him walk around is so fucking terrifying that I never want to leave this room. Again, this is one of the most terrifying things ever for me. Now, I'm not looking forward to seeing how Nemesis is going to be handled in the inevitable Resident Evil 3 remake. I say this because Mr. X listens for your gunshots, and as I said before, he will search for you in areas that haven't even loaded. Now, playing as the side characters is something that they probably should have dropped because these areas are really short. While taking control of Sherry, the little game of hide and seek was pretty terrifying until I found out that Irons is stuck on a set pathway. Makes things easier, yes, but kinda removes the tension like that one event in Persona 3. The puzzle you have to solve is a little too easy, which makes me think what was even the point to it. Though I'm also a little salty at it because it took me a while to figure out that you can move the order that the blocks are in. Having control of Ada was better, though using her hacking gun felt slightly pointless. I feel like it was only used to give dread for this puzzle. The one addition to this that I could live without is the addition of Mr. X halfway into this section. I literally screamed, "Oh come on!" because he showed his ugly head. I feel like this was the only reason the hacking gun had as much of a time limit as it did. I could be wrong, but I found it annoying. Thankfully, after you get through this event, you don't have to deal with him again when controlling Ada. Now, the first Birkin fight in both scenarios was just alright. The arena was compact, but you could easily make your way around to avoid his attacks. The second fight was piss easy, only because you have to use his cargo container to knock him off the platform. But I ended up getting Claire knocked off the platform my first playthrough. It was kind of funny, but now I know not to make that mistake another time. The third fight was a little tense, but just stay away from him and you'll win. It wasn't a fun fight nor a boring fight. Then again, I had a lot more trouble playing as Leon during this fight, though I think that was only because I was running low on ammo during my first playthrough. Hell, what made this fight easier was using the flamethrower. The only boring fight is the final boss in Claire's scenario against the final form of Birkin. Just run and gun, that's pretty much it. I didn't really have any trouble with this fight and took out Birkin once and for all. Leon's final boss is up against a prick that chases you around in both scenarios, so it's time to get your sweet revenge. I'm not kidding with that last part because blasting him with a rocket launcher was pretty sweet because of that, and he doesn't really stop chasing you in the fucking lab. Seriously, that pissed me off when he jumped into the garden area. Though I'll give Capcom this, I didn't see that one coming. Now, there is a final boss that you can fight, though I think Capcom should have dropped this because he went down pretty pathetically. Just unload all of your ammo on him and move backwards, that's really it. This game looks great, though even with the RE engine, there's something off about it. It mainly has to do with Claire in small cases, like the first time she talks to Marvin. Other than that, the game looks great, though completely disgusting. Again, thanks to the RE engine. Seriously, there is a lot of stuff that can make you sick to your stomach in this game, especially when you score a headshot on zombies or the rotting dog corpses. This game can make you uncomfortable just by seeing them. It's gross and reminds me why I can't watch like Hellraiser. Hell, you can be as accurate as you want with cutting limbs off of zombies and watching their arms dangle until they fall off. Now in some areas of the game it's a little too dark for my liking, and I get that it's supposed to hide some scares for the player, but it's just hard to see in general for me. I had to brighten down my screen just to be able to figure out where the hell I'm going. It's just a me problem though, because a lot of people have been able to make it through the game regardless. Boss design is great, except for the final boss, because it just looks like a generic blob. Now the other Birkin forms look disturbing, well, except for his third form where he looks like a Gears of War enemy. Now the zombies themselves don't look that terrifying to me. They're terrifying on intent only because these guys look, well, kinda dumb. Then again, some of the models look like clay and reminds me of GTA 5, and I can't shake that feeling. Now the sound design is great and can make you scared or disgusted because you can hear the bubbling noise when scoring a headshot. The only track you may be hearing constantly is Mr. X's theme, and oh boy, this will make you shit your pants. It's that terrifying. And again, hearing his footsteps boom around you is terrifying. Though install the Thomas the Tank Engine mod and be prepared to laugh your ass off. I do love the voice acting in this game. There really isn't any voice actor I didn't like. The only disappointment I have with the game is the Japanese voice acting. I haven't heard the whole game in Japanese, but from what little I played of the game, the Japanese voice acting is just horrible. Claire didn't sound good, the person telling the story in that radio broadcast sounded off, and I don't remember Leon's voice that well, but he didn't sound good either. I prefer setting Resident Evil Revelations to Japanese voice acting, because said acting makes that game completely terrifying for me. And the same applies to Resident Evil 7. Here, I just didn't like any of it and swapped it back to English almost immediately. Now this is, again, just a me problem, but it was still something that I didn't like. It won't affect the score at all, and hell, I may try the Japanese voice acting again whenever I try Leon A, Claire B, though at the moment, I just don't like it. So now, taking an account of gameplay, graphics, and sound, Resident Evil 2 2019 receives a 8 out of 10. The gameplay is pretty fun, though the boss fights were a bit of a letdown. Hell, during the gameplay section I never mentioned the alligator boss fight, and all he did during that fight was run from side to side. Some of the puzzles were great, like the rookie puzzle where you have to unlock Leon's desk using the initials of his co-workers. Searching the area for solutions of the puzzle makes things easier than just trying to look for a random note or something that you could easily miss. Dealing with enemies can be hectic if they gang up on you, though the only enemy that gave me consistent problems were the liquor enemies. Now Mr. X, he is a terrifying enemy, and that's the best and worst part about this game, especially since he actively hunts you down even when the area is not loaded. There are some awkward moments with the animation, but thankfully those are in small cases. I'm actually glad that this game brought back the map feature when it tells you that there's still in a specific room or hallway. I don't know why Resident Evil 7 dropped this feature, because it was a nice feature that debuted in Remake 1. But what makes this feature even better is the fact that the map will mark what item is in the room if you hover over it. Graphic-wise, the game looks great, although some of the enemies look off. Some of the variation of the zombies just look weird and not unsettling. I'm also actually impressed with the details of the character models, like with Mr. X having that microchip thing in his head. Now the atmosphere is great for this game, especially when you hear Mr. X walk around. And now, at the time of writing this, the game is available on Microsoft's Xbox One, Sony PlayStation 4, and the PC. This game was a blast to play, and I highly recommend it. It does the same thing that the first remake did by taking elements from the original and adding new twists to catch veterans off. If you loved the original Resident Evil 2, you'll love this game. If you didn't like the original game like I did, then give this game a chance, and trust me, you'll love it.